Aloha and welcome to another episode of Maunalua Past, Present, Future. My name is Kendrick Chang, a youth advisor for Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, and actually joining me today is another youth advisor for Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, Ramos.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And actually, today I'm not just the host, but also this is really just a panel with Dylan and myself, as we are talking about the youth for Livable Hawaii Kai Hui.
Absolutely.
And actually, for those who do not know Dylan, we actually both have quite a history together. We both attended Kaiser High School.
Quite a few years.
So tell us a little about yourself, Dylan.
Sure. I'll start with, I grew up 18 years in Hawaii Kai. That was the only one in place. Ironically, when I got involved with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, that's exactly when I had moved to Kaimuki. But it's been great. Yeah, I actually went to school in Noelani in Manoa, but then I ended up going to New Valley, Kaiser. That's how we met. And then, yeah, the rest is history. And we'll get into that.
Right. Well, even for myself, I'm born and raised in Hawaii Kai. We both went to the same schools. Not necessarily the same elementary school, but we went to New Valley Middle School and Kaiser High School. And actually, it was through my time in the Boy Scouts that how I really got involved with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui and the whole stewardship for an environment and citizenship. Okay. So really, maybe for you, Dylan, was there anything maybe while you were younger that really inspired you to, really be aware about not only the environment or just even serving the community in general?
Yes, I will say, ever since I was young, I was always involved just going to things like with my mom to community events. She works for the city. So community service was always a pretty big part of my life. While I was at Kaiser, as you know, I was involved with quite a few clubs. I really enjoyed working with my school's Interact Club so that we could do a lot of community service events around the neighborhood, really, around Oahu. But I did get more involved specifically with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui once I met you and Elizabeth, Riley, Suzanne, Gordon, all these people that we got to work with for the Kaiwi Coast campaign.
Yeah, and actually, we do have some photos of Livable Hawaii Kai Hui Youth in Action. We can put up on the screen. Actually, the first one is actually it's not us, but it was. We were sign waving for the Kaiwi campaign in the summer of 2015. If you, Dylan, why don't you elaborate? For those who may not be aware.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, of course, Kendrick here has always been our youth advisor point man. But for the Kaiwi Coast campaign, the Kaiwi Mauka specifically campaign this past summer of 2015, the way I got involved was Kendrick approached me. I think he texted me or nothing too.
Actually, I called you.
Yes. Okay. There you go. He called me, and then it all sounded good to me. Like there was really nothing to object about that. You told me about how we were gonna be saving these parcels of land. I did a little more research, and once you really find out the history of the whole coast and even the recent history about development and keeping it from being developed, that was really eye-opening. And especially what really got me committed, I think, was when I learned the fact that it was the last two undeveloped parcels of land that were originally slated for development. Yeah.
And I recall that initially I said we have to raise $500,000 in 2 months, and you're like, really? And I said, well, but it was out of $4 million. We already have 3.5 in the bank.
Yes, Kendrick here is our salesperson too.
No.
everything. But so the way I got involved really was you told me about that, and I did exactly what you did. I turned around and contacted a bunch of my friends. I remember I went through my entire Facebook friends list, and I actually created this message to send out to like certain people that I knew were pretty popular, so that
not so popular, but those that care.
Yes. There you go. But I remember part of my message, like the very first part, was, I know this is gonna seem like spam, because I sent them this really long message about just trying to summarize briefly all there's hundreds, thousands of years worth of history with this group, Kaiwi, and then just Livable Hawaii Kai Hui in general. So there was just a lot to say.
Right.
So I know if I wasn't already involved and I saw that message, I would be like, oh, it's just spam. Like something went wrong with their account. But a lot of people, they actually took the time to read it, and they actually told me they were willing to like share this on Instagram, on Facebook, and everything has gone from there, sprouted from there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, for me, actually, just first getting involved with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui was actually, as I was mentioning before, with the Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout, and a fellow Eagle Scout of mine at the time ended up doing his project, Eagle Scout project, in Kamalunui Valley with Elizabeth.
And that on my shirt.
just really started with the process of me getting more involved through my high school years with different projects with Elizabeth. And also, both you and we together were on the high school newspaper at Kaiser. And I did a couple articles where I did have to interview Elizabeth. So that was really how I got to know Elizabeth. And then actually it was really just a couple weeks after I graduated from high school when the Kai Hui campaign started. And I just messaged Elizabeth, and out of the blue she said, all right, I'm going to take you to lunch. And she just said, I have this big task for you. I want you on it.
So Kendrick and so Elizabeth.
Well, it's really a team effort, I gotta say.
I know. I mean, we keep on mentioning Kaiser, but it's true though, because we both really, I think, found our strides there. I remember the first thing that got me more involved with neighborhood environmental stuff was actually the rain garden at Kaiser, which was a project with Maunalua, which is a group that we work with sometimes. And I don't think he's with them anymore, but Kimo Franklin, he was with Maunalua at that point. And yeah, he really, in passing, we were doing a little planting, and he got me really to see how things all the way from the high school go all the way to the bay. And then now I know all about these other things throughout the valley, throughout Kamelanui Valley, even closer to Haheone.
Right. Then we do have more photos, I mean, to show of youth in action in Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. We can get the next photo up on the screen. And actually, I do have a very funny story. Actually, this was when Randy Chang, who gave $100,000 towards our $500,000 campaign. Actually, at the start of the campaign, Kurt Sanborn, one of our volunteers, wrote a column on Honolulu Civil Beat.
And that's how he saw this,
This was how Randy saw this, and he just commented in the bottom of the article in the comment section, say, hey, how can I get in contact with Elizabeth and the organization? And just by chance, I just, commented, replied back and said, here's the email and here's the website.
Wow, something as small as that,
The next week, he actually showed up to the meeting, and before you know it, he ended up writing a check for $100,000.
Yeah, so. I know. I wish I could have been there. That was when you first gave me the news. I was like, really? I couldn't even believe it. But like you said, though, what really had drawn me in was when you went from that 4 million figure to the 500, and then we had a little trouble getting that started. But yeah, Randy was a huge help with that.
Yeah.
Huge help.
But besides the process, I mean, what particular aspects, if I might ask, what really does amaze you about the Kai Hui campaign, or Livable Hawaii Kai Hui in general?
I would definitely say I was drawn in with the Kai Hui Coast campaign. It was really something that you could really reach out to any old person. Like you don't have to think of them as an environmentalist or someone that's really interested in issues with land development. It was people who knew that this would end up affecting like their views and their drive to the beach. It was such a close to home campaign. And then of course, when you grow up for 18 years in Hawaii Kai and you only first hear about this group called Livable Hawaii Kai Hui after you graduate high school, I think that's something that you really end up wanting to learn more about.
Because for me personally, really for Kai Hui, it really wasn't just a one summer thing. It's actually 40 years of history. And to me, I'm really humbled that we really had some great, stewards that was with not only with this same Kai Hui, but even from the Safe Sandy Beach movement. I mean, with just to name some names off the top of my head, you know, Phil Esterman, and then
Ursula.
Bob and Ursula Rutherford's come into mind. I mean, it's really a great learning process. Not only the history, but I mean just how much commitment, just being able to save, you know, that entire coastline, and that we were able to be part of the process of finishing the job. I mean, that's really the one aspect which, I mean, for me, I try to remind other people is that, you know, this is not just a one summer thing, but there's a 40-year history behind it.
Absolutely. I would even go further to say that getting involved with all these projects really date back to Maunalua, you know, in the olden days. I'll be honest, I was a little, I think I was wavering in my commitment to see what I was going to be doing after that summer campaign. But once I started to do a little more research, I'm really into history. So what you just mentioned, yeah, that's really what continued to help me to continue. As you know, we just met recently with UH grad, or she was sharing her thesis statement, her thesis, and this girl from Connecticut, right? Ended up teaching me more about my home than I ever knew about it. And just to think about how, I mean, what a fact that the largest fish pond in Polynesia, was right in our backyard. I never knew that.
Right.
I never knew that.
And really, I mean, it's just with the whole, I mean, land and real estate behind the whole Maunalua area, which I didn't realize is so unique. I mean, with the whole subdivision and everything. And I mean, from her presentation, scene paper, this is a more Ramirez.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really quite an eye-opening.
Yes.
Especially when there was 2 Supreme Court cases that came as a result of some land disputes in Maunalua. And I mean, after the summer campaign, actually, you know, obviously I was away for school at George Washington University. I mean, I was still helping out with email and other communications, social media behind the scenes. But you, Dylan, you really stepped up. I mean,
that's a nice way to put it. I did. I took over the mass email, campaign for the Kaiwi Coast, which is definitely our largest group of community members. But I also ended up taking over the email list for our Havea, Heiau, and Keava wetland list. And that has really taken on a life of its own, I think. Especially the recent event that we brought back the drum, Kaniala'a, to that coconut grove where our award-winning tree unfortunately had to be brought down. But I thought that was just amazing. It was really a sight to see all these people come to this land that used to be just that place behind the fence with all those wild weeds and everything else. Like, who knew, how many, at least young people, how many young people know that there's a wetland there, really, let alone a heiau.
And all the tennis balls from the walking club. And then, I mean, very much recently, because right on the new end of Keava wetland and Hawaii heiau is 7,000 Hawaii Kai, which is the newest rental apartment complex, which is actually apparently the second in the city, which is a rental apartment complex.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
And it's another couple hundred apartment units. I mean, brand new. And then part of it was that you know, they partnered with our organization, Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. So I mean, we recently put on this fundraiser on the same opening night, and before you know it, we had to actually get a newsletter out explaining about not only what we've been doing as an organization with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, but we have this great new project that's up in the works with the landscape.
Yes, yeah, right on the corner, right?
Right.
And that Pahula mound. And that's why when we were at that fundraiser, a lot of people were coming up thinking that we were part of with Avalon, the developers. But it was amazing to see how positively people responded to that when we would tell them that, we were really able to save it because of these new owners. They weren't the first, to try and develop, but they were so kind to really put up for sale, or to us at least, to Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, to steward this area that was a majority of what they were originally trying to develop. Yeah.
Because what's going to be happening is that, with help through Avalon, there's, the portion right on its corner right in front of the property where we're going to be building a recreational area. Or, they were stipulated by their, when they initially, with the city that they had to create recreational area. But of all things, they decided, to ask Livable Hawaii Kai Hui to steward and build a native garden and park.
Yeah. And I was wondering, actually, if you don't mind me taking a little question of my own, how do you feel about that recreation garden? Where do we feel we would want to see? Because it's not that big a space. It's not the biggest space in the world. So how do you think we would?
Well, it's quite interesting you're asking me the question because actually, 2 years ago with the Kai's newspaper when they initially was proposing to build that property, I wrote a news article which ended up placing second in the States. So all these years I was being the journalist. I'm being the one who's trying to be fair.
Yes.
But I just feel that given what from our work from Hawaii and Keawa wetland, that which can only transcend to this new native garden right on the corner of Hawaii Kai Drive. I think it's just remarkable. And of course, obviously it's next to an apartment building, but I think it's important that we have that balance in preserving.
Absolutely.
Excuse me. Preserving and creating that environment while having a suburban residential area right next to it.
And I think what's really amazing, especially about that project, like I said, it's really taken on a life of its own. That whole heiau complex, it's right in the middle of the community. It really is. People are walking by the fence on our second Saturday events, and they're commenting how, like, oh, wow, I didn't know. What's over there? What kind of plants are these? Are these native? Are these invasive?
Right.
And then also what I think we've been seeing a lot is the youth coming out. And that's why we're here talking.
Right.
We've seen a lot of school groups, especially from the community ones at Kaiser, but also some from Punahou, Iolani, Kamehameha, all kinds of
Kalani High
groups.
School.
Yeah, Kalani, of course. Yes, thank you. So when we see all these people coming out, it's truly a humbling experience, I think, because like I said, you really don't think of Hawaii Kai. You think of Hawaii Kai as this developed community, Henry J. Kaiser. You don't really think of it as Maunalua.
Yeah.
We've kind of lost that. But I think that's why it's great. I love being involved with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui because I feel like we're really trying to bridge that gap.
Yeah. I totally agree. And really, Dylan, moving forward, even your own personal end, which, you actually, you're towards the end of your you actually took a gap year and then got involved with this. But for you personally, what have new experiences have come across?
Oh, wow, a lot. Starting from the very beginning when you brought me in, I like I said, I went through my friends list. Like I have these friends, but this is the first thing that I really felt like I needed. I needed to put myself out there for, and really grab these other people's attention that I normally wouldn't. I would kind of want to be under their radar, but I was really interested in actually bringing it up to them. And as far as looking ahead, I do feel like I've gotten a lot of experience communicating with people, especially when it's not in person, when it's all over Facebook and email. There's a lot of lessons to learn on responsibility, punctuality, and then also the basics of just regular old communication, good, solid communication. What I did find a little
challenging.
Challenging, thank you. Yes, a little challenging was, getting out to more of those in-person projects. Like just recently, for that fundraiser we were talking about, going canvassing and giving flyers out to the community. That was a little nerve-wracking at first, but I met a few people, really nice people. They responded really well, and yeah, I think it's helped me grow.
Right.
And once I go back to college, I think that'll help me
Right.
hopefully find
Yeah.
a good job so
Right.
that I don't have to work on campus.
And for me especially, again, I went through my, after 1 year at
Yes.
GW, and then, I'm back home for the summer, and I mean, although I'm doing a lot of things, but a real big part of this summer has been really continuing to help Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. And I could see, after 1 year, I mean, I just feel there's this new sense of energy and enthusiasm. I mean, that's been carried over from the momentum from the Kiwi campaign. I mean, that's what I'm personally glad to be a part of.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's why I really think that it's wonderful that we have these projects spread out
Right.
through the community. But once we're able to bring them together under the name, it does. I mean, obviously we're with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, but it's all about just bringing them together so that we know who we can talk to. If community members have any questions or want to get involved, they know who they can come to. So I really think that's one of our main goals here.
Right.
As far as I just wanted to touch a little bit more on what you were talking about the future. So what I really hope is that I can remain involved even when I do go back. I'll be going back to California. And I really hope that all these electronic things, I'm able to still stay involved, because you guys have made it so easy, really. So easy for me. You, Kendrick.
But you made it easy for me during my first year. So.
Okay, so now we'll trade.
Yeah.
We'll switch off. But I guess we'll be needing to.
It's a team process.
Another youth advisor, though.
Well,
we'll see.
And no, I mean, I'm sure there's always our own place, and we have our own qualities, and everyone brings their own unique things to the table. And really, I mean, for you personally, I mean, I think viewers would be interested. Wow, this guy is so involved in the environment and the community at this young age. What is your aspirations after finishing school?
What are my aspirations? Well, really, when I go back to school, I'll be majoring in education. I wasn't before, but so that'll be my new thing.
Right.
But I'm hoping to be a teacher. And I really think that while there's definitely a lot to be said about letting your students grow and like giving them a fair, equal side, there's also a lot that you do need to teach them as being good. There is some bias in there, some inherent bias, and I think environmentalism is a part of that.
Wow. Yeah. And I mean, for me personally, obviously, I still got 3 more years at George Washington University, hopefully law school, but I definitely this experience has really opened myself, because I do want to go into law and become an attorney, but it's really an attorney that I hope, depending, whatever specific career field within the legal sector I decide to pursue, or whether even it's communications or PR, it's really dealt with not only the environment, but just an aspect where I can come back to the Maunalua community in Hawaii Kai. That's really, I mean, my goal, I mean, personally, in my dream.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about, because I've learned so much from all these people we've started to work with, not just with the Hui, but with these people in the community that we've started to network with. And yeah, I do want to be a teacher. That is my goal right now. But at the same time, I'm more interested in just learning how to educate people and how to really talk to them. So when it comes to that, it's really opened my eyes, all these issues we've been dealing with land especially. Yeah, maybe urban planning, maybe law, maybe politics. Yeah.
Yeah, no, especially, I mean, definitely real estate law and land zoning law is something that, I mean, definitely through my experience with Hawaii Kai Hui and what I really learned through the process is really, I mean, eye-opening to me. And then, I mean, we do have a couple more minutes. But, I mean, if you want to top it all off, if there's, let's say, another high school student or even just a middle school student who's saying, I want to be the next Dylan, what's your advice?
Well, one, be yourself. Be yourself. But I kind of lucked out. I really did. I know this is terrible advice, but just look around. Look at your options, because all I did was really get involved with clubs, like I mentioned earlier. It really started, at least in terms of in Hawaii Kai, it all started being involved with our Interact Club, which got involved with Malama Maunalua. So it's really small things like that. You never know where it might lead. And then, like, it wasn't until after I graduated, though, that I was approached by you about this campaign. So always just keep your eyes open. I mean, sorry, your ears.
Right, and actually
Eyes
we
and
do have a
ears.
photo of, you
Oh.
talking
Yes.
to other Kaiser High School
Yes,
students.
that was this past year at Kaiser's Earth Fest.
Mhm.
That was put on by their sophomore class, I believe, or
Cool.
now
Yeah.
juniors. And yeah, that was a really great experience. I got to see some friends who weren't. They were a little surprised that I was in Hawaii and not in California,
Right.
but they had seen me post a little bit
Yeah.
here and there about the Hui, about Kai Hui.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, for me to top it all off, if I could give you any advice, it's
Of
really,
course.
really respect and perpetuate what has been accomplished in the past. I mean, even though as the millennial generation or, whatever's the generation after the millennials, we, don't think that we have to really create this entire new lifestyle or this new approach.
I like
it's
that.
really for me, I mean, I personally would hope to perpetuate what has already been set forth in the past and to respect, but at the same time, to really adapt into the new challenges we
I like that
face.
word. I think adapt is the key word because, like you said, there's a lot of things that Ursula and Phil could have been doing a long, long time ago, like the passing out flyers, knocking on doors. But then we have the internet, and that's a real game changer.
Yeah. Anyways, I mean, that's all our time for today. But no, it was really a great conversation with you, Dylan.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us on another episode of Maunalua Past, Present, and Future. My name is Kendrick, Chang, your host. We do want to thank Livable Hawaii Kai Hui and our partner at Ōlelo Studios in Kaimuki High School for helping us to put on this show. Thank you very much. Aloha.